Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. Excited for today's guest. He is the president and CEO of Lightspeed Investing. And what he does is he helps his people to invest in the financial future market. So super excited to be rocking out today with Philip Jayhawk Chan. Hey, Philip, you ready to rock?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing fantastic. So we always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
Oh man. Well, a good note is, since we teach our clients a skill set that they can learn from life, we have clients who are now making 5 grand a day, and they were struggling to make 5 grand a month prior to joining us. So, we recently, have been expanding the efforts on marketing as well to create additional public awareness, and that's the feedback that we're getting.
Nice. Right on. Yeah, that's a big number. That's really cool. So now, but along with the successes, sometimes there's some bad notes that we hit. So, can you share something that isn't working necessarily well or hasn't worked well and how we can recover from that?
Yeah, well, I would say a frustration point can definitely be, when you grow and expand, learning from trials and tribulations. So recently, as we have grown and expand, some frustrating things happening internally is just the communication, right? Making sure that the communication between different team members stay consistent so that we have a smooth operation.
Yeah, yeah. So, have you like, what is it? Is like a standard operating principles, or are you using like tools for that now? Like, what did you do
Yeah,
to
so
change that?
it's definitely pertinent, for business owners to document your processes, right? And also make sure that the team is aware of the process. So essentially, one of the best things that I learned was, after you say something to someone, make sure you ask them, hey, what is it that you heard from me? Because sometimes people zone out and they may not have heard you the way that you want them to hear you, right? So even though they're like, yep, got the message, they may have interpreted it a little bit differently. So just make sure you take leadership to, say, hey, like, did you interpret it the way that I, meant for you to interpret it, right? And then that way everyone's on the same page and no ball gets dropped, right?
Yeah, and sometimes that can be challenging because I think some people don't want to seem stupid, right? So they're like, oh, I'm just going to pretend like I knew what he was talking about. But really, you do have to clarify these things, right?
Right, right. Absolutely.
So now let's talk a little bit about learning from the best. So when it comes to, coaches, mentors, all that kind of stuff, is that something that you do? Like, do you hire people to help you with certain areas of your business?
Oh man, absolutely. I love that question. That's, to be honest, the number one thing that's accelerated my career and my growth and my wealth creation journey, right? Being willing to always look after mentors and learn from the best, right? So for us, a mentor that really guided the firm to success is John Arnold. John Arnold, after graduating from Vanderbilt, was able to take 1.5 million to 1.5 billion in 2.5 years because he traded the commodity natural gas correctly and effectively, right? And my business partner, which by the way, our firm represents a group of medical professionals who are now investment professionals, right? And so before Arnold became a billionaire, he actually hosted a lot of trading workshops and seminars for a limited time in Dallas, Texas. And my business partner actually had the opportunity to learn directly from him. And so that's why 70% of our methodology is based off of Arnold, while the other 30%, we've as medical professionals have added additional prudence, professionalism, and ethics on top of his strategies when navigating the markets the right way.
Wow. And, is this something that's like super difficult to understand or, is it simple? Like, what do you think?
No, no. So at first glance, it may go over a lot of people's head, but
Mm,
this game is naturally based on a game of pattern recognition, right? So first and foremost, when we talk about futures and commodity financial markets, it's a bit different. It's not the same asset class as stocks, bonds, real estate, right, and mutual funds. That's what we typically call on the left side under traditional investments. Where we reside is under alternative investments on the right side, specifically under derivatives, right, in the same neighborhood as stock options, cryptocurrency, forex, foreign exchange, right, as well as art and luxury timepieces, right.
mm.
So that's kind of where we reside, and for anyone to be successful in these markets, right, they just need to follow a proprietary system, which for us we've identified 5 to 7 factors, and only when these 5 to 7 factors are in unison, in confluence, and congruent, right, do you want to enter in a trade? So most people are, Tim, are very apprehensive, right, about the risks, volatility, and fluctuations in the markets. We make it where individuals, business owners, and professionals can walk into these markets with confidence because they actually know what to look for before ever placing a trade. And that's where it no longer becomes gambling, right? If you look at the statistics, 90% of retail traders lose money because they simply don't know what they're doing. When you don't know what you're doing in the markets, you're basically gambling, right?
Yeah.
So we systematize that process by, sharing with you things to watch out for. And again, only when they are in unison, in confluence, do you ever enter in the trade.
Hmm. Okay. Just a kind of a follow-up question because I'm not I'm familiar with stocks and all that stuff, but not super expert on it. Is it like so? Does someone have to lose in order for you to win?
So if you're asking if it's a zero-sum game, right? Then I believe the answer is, well, you shouldn't frame it that way. For every losers, there is a winner. So basically, if you were to lose money, someone else is going to win money, right?
Yeah.
That's how it works. But it's not directly correlated, if that makes sense, right? It's
So if
not. Yeah.
if
So
if
so it's about
everybody
defining.
knows what they're doing, is
Right.
there any money to be made? I guess is the better question.
That is a great point, and that's why not everyone gets to win in this game, right? Because you
Hmm.
will inherently have people that don't know what they're doing, and when
Yeah.
they don't know what they're doing, they're basically giving money back to the market. And when you are someone that knows what they're doing, you're able to take money from the market. So look at the market like the intermediary, right? If you don't know what you're doing, money belongs to the market, right? If you do know what you're doing, you're able to extract from the market. And that's what we're subject matter experts in, is extracting points from the market. See, Tim, what you have to realize with this skill set, in terms of learning from John Arnold, right, specifically, this skill set is first and foremost based on a science, right? And so, your question of, hey, is this game going to be created equal? It won't be, right? And that's the idea, is that, unless you know what you're doing with short-term investing, right? It's an active style of investing with a skill set. This is not real estate where you put money into a building or a house and you're expecting cash flow to your bank account, right, while you're just sitting pretty, right? This is based on a skill set. So you actually do have to show up. Now, the difference is this is not day trading. We're not spending 5 to 8 hours in front of the screens because we're looking to be professionals, right? We're looking to be surgically precise, spending only half an hour to an hour and a half, and we're extracting points from the market. And what you have to understand is inputs always dictate outputs. So when you can extract points from the markets, those points will translate to profits. And the beauty of this game is you can actually dial and scale up your skill set as you get better and better. So that allows you to extract more points and hence more profits. But a lot of things that we tell our clients is don't ever look on the back end, right, and just be money oriented. Look at what is the quality of your trades, right? Because if out of 10 trades that you make, you're able to be 70%, 80%, 90% correct, then for a fact money will come.
Yeah, right on. Okay, cool. So I assume that you probably got some tools that you're using to get some success in
Yeah.
your business. So can you share with us some of these tools?
Absolutely. So tool number one is the asset class that we're trading. And tool number two is the brokerage that we're using to trade these asset classes, right? So the thing about the futures and commodity financial markets is, yes, there is a lot more risk and volatility involved. However, right, where we come in is we normalize these risks into advantages, right? So the main difference with these asset classes, if you know what you're doing, not only can you make money when the markets go up, down, or sideways, but you can actually make money when the markets go down because it goes down 67% faster than when it goes up.
Okay.
So, for example, Tim, back in '08, when people would freak out because the stock markets would collapse, let's say if you had $1 million stuck to the stock market, right, and your valuations of those shares also collapse, you're going to freak out because you're like, I have no clue how long it's going to take for the stock markets to come back up, right? But in futures and commodities specifically with this asset class, that markets will go down 67% faster, right? So I don't know if you've ever been to the amusement park, but imagine being next to like roller coasters. And there's this platform that they sit you at the very top and they dangle you and you just don't know what's going to happen. And out of nowhere, they drop you, right?
Mhm.
Like I want you to imagine that elevator drop as what I'm describing when I say markets go down 67% faster than when it goes up. So if you know what you're doing, you can actually sell the market right before it drops, right? And so from the entire way down, let's say it dropped 200 points, you're basically going to profit again, right? You want to extract points from the market. You're going to be in profit for those 200 points, which translates to a pretty hefty cash flow for your bank statement, right? Because it's immediately reflected in your trading account. But the idea here is that, with this asset class, not only can you make money when the markets go up, down, or sideways, but when most people are freaking out because the markets are going down or collapsing, right? We are not. We're actually impervious and we're not vulnerable to these things because we know certain things, right? Like the markets go down 67% faster.
Yeah.
So you can be a masterful trader and just time the shorts. Just enter in a trade right before it drops, right? You see how that would protect you as well? So that's the tools for success is number one, the asset class that we have chosen. And number two is the brokerage that we're trading with. See, if most people who don't know, right, about the industry, if they just looked up popular brokerages for the futures and commodity financial markets, one of the first ones that pop up would be IB, Interactive Brokerage, right? That's what the name of that thing is called. Now, what they don't understand is, in order to trade one contract of the Dow US 30, the minimum, right, margin is $12,000 USD. If you wanted to trade one contract of gold and oil respectively on that platform, it's $17,000 and $27,000 respectively.
Wow. Okay.
Hey, Rockstar. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Work at Home Rockstar podcast. If you didn't know already, my business is Creative Crew Agency. We build websites. Now, let's talk about your website for a minute. Most people realize that at this day and age, we need a website, but we don't really know what the website is supposed to do. And sometimes you'll just go and build a website for the sake of building a website. What I do is I make sure that your website actually accomplishes a goal. Now, there are three main goals to most websites. Number one is to provide information and build credibility. Number two is to schedule some sort of appointment and get them onto a sales call. Number three is to sell something like an e-commerce site. Now, when you're setting your website, you have to be very mindful that the visitor doesn't know what to do. And so you have to provide them with a roadmap that leads them down a path to wherever you want them to go. On my website, I want them to be on a free consultation. So that's why when you go to creativecrewagency.com, you'll see information about scheduling a free consultation. Now, for you, though, I'm going to provide you with an extra link so that you can get your free website audit. Go to creativecrewagency.com/free website audit and schedule an audit with me. And I'll go through your website live and determine what we can do to improve your conversions and make sure that you're getting the business from your website. Go to creativecrewagency.com and we'll see you there.
So the brokerage that we use allow our clients to get in on a much lower barrier to entry because to trade the same contracts for the Dow US 30, gold and oil, we're talking about $500 and then $1,000 and $2,000 respectively, as opposed to $12,000, $17,000 and $27,000, right?
Okay.
So a lot of ordinary people can enter this game with much lower barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So now I imagine this takes a fair bit of practice to figure out. I mean, I know that I played around, like I say, with some trading platforms way back when, even some simulations that you can learn about too. Now this is, I think, totally different than what I was doing, but it really does take some practice to figure out what's going on. You lose your money real quick. So I'm wondering, like, what do you do for practicing? Like, how did you first of all get good at what you're doing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So first and foremost, the reason why we get our clients profitable is because there is a systematized process, right, in terms of the training that we provide. So just so you have some background understanding, right, we're not just educators educating, right? We're doers first, and we've been successful in doing, and our clients have actually asked us to teach them. So for the past 15 years, our firm has been very successful in garnering returns for high net worth individuals in the form of money management, right?
Yep.
And because we've been able to do it well, a lot of our clients started asking us, hey, these returns are great, but what if something were to happen to you, right? What if something were to happen where you're no longer around? That's where we created this proprietary trading education platform so that individuals, right, can actually be more independent of us. so that they don't have to just rely on us to do it for them. They can do it themselves, right? And so the way that we get them profitable, right? And I come from a surgery discipline, so I'll use surgery as an example, Tim. I think you and I can agree that there's a fundamental difference between me teaching you surgery and you actually operating on a live patient.
Yeah.
So operating on a live patient is trading the markets with real money. All right. So what we do is we make sure that you can prove to us that you can conduct more successful surgeries than non-successful surgeries, first and foremost, right, on a simulated trading education platform, right? Similar to operating on a mannequin patient, making sure you have more winners than losers. First, remember the inputs, right? Out of 10 trades, how profitable are you? How positive are you on these 10 trades? And only when you can demonstrate to us that you have a winning percentage do you ever transition to live, right? So we have the learning phase one, right, where you're just being a sponge, you're understanding the language, you're understanding the patterns that we identify, you're understanding the techniques that you should execute on, and you're just absorbing, right? And then the next thing is you're actually practicing and you're trading alongside us. Because what makes us different is that in the evenings we teach, right? But in the mornings we actually prove what we teach. We go live and we trade in front of you, right? So we make money in front of you and we also show you what we're doing. We're demonstrating our skill sets in the morning as well, right? And so for someone who's, going through that process, first they're learning, they're understanding what's going on, and then they can trade alongside us in a simulated environment, in a simulated manner. And then once they have proved to themselves and to us that their inputs, are ready for their outputs, because they have more winners than losers, then that's when they actually transition to a live account and they trade real money on, and they put real money on.
That's a good idea. Yeah, because having a little bit of a sandbox is pretty useful, right? That's cool. So now it is time for your guest solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business right now.
Oh man, well, what's exciting is in this game you can make money practically every single day, right? But the kicker is that this is a 90% margin game. So what I mean by that is if you're a business owner, let's say you ran a brick and mortar business in the form of landscaping, in the form of construction, restaurants, right? Let's say out of $1 million of gross profit, you are lucky to net 8 to 15%, right? 20 is like really good. So out of $1 million, you're lucky to net 200K, right, on 20%. This game is a 90% margin game, Tim. And the reason being is the only overhead that you have is the internet connection, your Wi-Fi, the laptop in front of you, as well as the brokerage that you're trading with, right? Yeah. And so if you know what you're doing, you can really grow and scale this game, because this game is based on a skill set. And when you grow and scale your skill set, then you can have more money. And by the way, this skill set is something you can have for the rest of your life, So to give you an example, like Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all these big institutions or banking institutions, they're trading in the thousands of contracts, right? In the mornings, when we prove what we teach, when we demonstrate our assets under management skill sets, we're trading in the hundreds of contracts, right? But this is a game of ratios, right? So when they're just starting, they may start off by mastering one contract, but they can grow and scale one contract to 3 to 5 and then 10. And at 10 contracts, Tim, if you know what you're doing, 10 contracts is going to equate to $10,000 USD, right? And there's 20 trading days in a month. So if you wanted to trade all 20 trading days, right, at 10 contracts a day, which is 10K a day, that basically turns into a 200K per month on average, plus minus, right? So just to give you some perspective, that's what's possible, right? And that's what's really exciting, about this game, is that it's a 90% margin business model, and you can grow and scale it. The more committed, the more income you'll be able to generate.
So, okay, I'm trying to understand how it works. So now if I'm at the top of that list, like, am I playing against everybody else who is trading as well? Is that how it's working?
I wouldn't want you to think about it like that. I don't want you to, because that's not, you're basically, you need to focus on your own inputs. For someone who's successful, they're not worried about what's going. See, that's another reason why this game is so great, is technical analysis. This is not fundamental analysis. Like For example, when you are a shareholder of a stock, right, and you invest into a stock, you're saying, from what I have seen, right, I think this company is going to take off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you have to realize you're not the CEO, you're not the founder, you're not the one in direct control of that company. You're saying, let's say, speculator, I think this company is going to take off, so I'm going to invest in it. But remember, this is fundamental analysis. So you're researching what's the global economic trends, what's the interrelatability of markets, what are the potential strengths and weaknesses of this company, right? You're like researching all of these moving parts. In this game, right, which is technical analysis, all that needs to be successful for you, right, it's in front of you with the charts themselves. Okay, that's why it's technical analysis. That's actually why we've been able to retire medical professionals, especially radiologists, from their careers if they want to, because they're so good at reading x-rays, right?
Yeah.
So again, the difference here is you don't need to research like crazy. All you need to know is I need to focus on my accuracy, right, and precision as a trader. And the more quality inputs I have, the more winners I will get, right? And the more profits I can extract from the markets, right? So what I'm trying to say is, like, the interrelatability of you and the markets and other people is not necessarily, as important, because that's not what it is required for you to become successful, right? It's more about you managing your own emotions, you having the discipline to be great with your risk management. So this game, you want to start off, remember, it's a skill set that you can grow and scale. So what we teach is you want to start off with a 1 to 3 risk to reward. Risking, say, $5 to make 15, $50 to make 150, $500 to make 1,500, right? But remember, as you grow and scale the skill set, you can take more risks because you're getting better. So then you can bump it to 1 to 5 and 1 to 10 in terms of the risk to reward. So at 1 to 10, you're risking $10 to make $100, or 10 points to make 100 points, I should say, right? And by the way, just so you have some background, because I can kind of see. So 1 point is $5 off of one contract. 10 points is $50. 100 points off of one contract is $500. Yeah. So that's why when you're able to, let's say, get to 10 contracts, that $500, becomes $5,000 off of 100 points. And that's why if you were to extract 200 points from the markets at 10 contracts, that would become $10,000.
Wow.
You see that? But that's why you focus on the inputs, right? How many contracts are you trading? How much points can you extract realistically, right? If we don't talk about the money, we're just talking about, hey, Tim, what is your risk to reward? What is the amount of contracts you're trading, right? How many points are you able to extract from the markets day in and day out on a simulated? That's going to give you some feedback, right? Because not all markets are created equal in terms of the points, to a profit ratio. Different markets, like the NASDAQ is actually, 4 times more than the Dow US 30. So at one point, it's not $5. 1 point is actually $20.
Wow. Okay.
See what I'm saying? So, but you want to focus on the Dow US 30 because that's the starting market for you to master, right?
So who would be, I mean, I know you mentioned physicians for sure, but are there any other sorts of types of personalities that would, just kind of have a head start and be good at this right from the beginning?
Yeah, well, so first and foremost, this game is for people who are, open to learning a skill set, right? This is active investing based off a skill set. So if you're someone who's always been passionate to learn, you want to learn and stack high income skill sets so that you can be in control of your life, that's who this is for, right? At the highest, level. Now, in terms of breakdown, we have professionals, business owners, real estate investors, and people looking for a new career opportunity that engage in conversations with us.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Now, how do we find out more?
Yeah, so you can shoot me a message on LinkedIn. My name is Philip Jayhawk Chan. And, in the show notes, there should also be a Calendly link. By booking a call with us, you can secure a complimentary 2-week access to our weekly sessions. So by being an audience of Tim's podcast, right, what you're basically going to be able to do is take a sneak peek of our paid client sessions, where typically speaking in the evenings, right, we're teaching is post-market analysis, where we break down the futures and commodity financial markets, explaining how things happen and why they happen. While in the mornings, we actually prove what we teach, we go live, and we make money in front of you. So these are typically paid client sessions. But if you book a call with us, we're going to identify the best 2 weeks that works for you, and you can show up and be exposed to this universe at zero obligation.
That's cool. That's cool. Thank you so much for that. That's a really, really good offer for sure. Thanks, Philip.
Of course, absolutely, Tim.
All right. Well, thanks for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. To the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment. We'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.